Hi and welcome from Liquid Boy. I'm going to take you on a quick tutorial of how to convert a boring picture like this into an awesome what I call a sequence effect, a shimmering sequence effect like this. Reminiscent of the 70s disco period, those sequences that you saw in those disco dresses and flares. Okay, so let's begin. Let's close this down. And as always, I'll start with a picture from my favorite site, Flickr. So in this case, it's a picture of a carousel. Right click on it, copy, and going back to Photoshop, Control N to create a new template, and then Control V to paste it into that template. There's the layer with the picture in it. So the first step is to create a copy of that layer, Control J. And with this layer, what we're going to do, this new layer, we're going to create the actual sequence outline, so the little dots that make up the sequence. So to do that, we're going to apply 4 filters and we're going to invert the layer. So the 4 filters are, the first filter is a mosaic, so filter, pixelate mosaic, and the cell size of about 8 squares is fine. And the second filter is the stylize find edges. The third filter is the noise median, and radius of about 2 pixels is fine. And the fourth filter is other maximum, and a 1 pixel radius is fine between each of the cells. And then we invert that, Control I, and there's the end of our first layer. It's the basic outlines for the sequences. It's not the actual sequences themselves, that will be done in the next layer. It's just the outline or the little dots that form the basis of the sequence. So go back to the original size. Okay, so now what we do is we'll create a copy of that layer, Control J. There's our new layer, and with this layer we're going to create the actual sequence. So there's 2 steps to this. First, apply a filter, the stylize find edges filter, and then we're going to invert that, Control I, and there's our actual sequences. That simple, those circle dots. Now that we've got our sequences, what's left? What we want to do now is to have that glowing effect, that shimmering effect to these sequences. So to do that, we're going to create 2 new layers, which are going to be copies of this layer, and we're going to apply motion blurs to those. So let's do that. So what we want to do is, actually before we do that, what we will do to this current layer is we'll apply a screen blend to it. Blending, click screen. What that does is that it will, all the layers from this point onwards are going to blend into each other. So what we'll do now is we'll create the 2, we'll copy this layer twice, Control J twice, and as I already mentioned, these 2 layers are going to form the shimmering effect. So what we'll do is we'll work with the topmost layer and we'll apply a motion blur filter, so filter, blur, motion blur, and we'll give this blur a 45-degree angle and a distance of 100 pixels. Then we'll adjust the image adjustments using auto levels. So image adjustments, auto levels, and there's the first shimmering effect, 45-degree angle. So we're going to repeat that process with the second copied layer, but on a different angle. So filter, after you select that second layer, filter, blur, motion blur, and this time all you got to do is put a negative in front of the angle. So negative 45 degrees, still 100 pixel distance. All we're doing is changing the angle of the blur. And again, we'll adjust the image using an auto levels. There's a shimmering effect, but as you can see, the 45-degree shimmer and the negative 45-degree shimmer, they're actually quite strong. So what we want to do is we want to separate, make a more pronounced effect between the 2 top layers. So what we want to do is we want to add an adjustment layer between these 2, and layer, new adjustment layer of type brightness contrast. So what this is going to do is it's as it says, we're going to decrease the brightness and increase the contrast between the two top layers, the two shimmering layers, and the result speaks for itself. There you go. The glowing sequence effect. I hope you enjoyed that.